Welcome back, friends. Today we're spending winter the village way. Slow mornings, caring for the horse before anything else, because animals come first here. After that, we gather around the fireplace for a simple BBQ lunch. Fire, meat, quiet talks, and the feeling that home is exactly where you're meant to be. If this kind of quiet village life feels close to your heart, stay with us. Subscribe so we can keep sharing these slow days, warm food, and simple moments together. Look at this brave stallion. Strong, calm, proud. The kind of presence you don't rush past. In the village, horses aren't just animals. They're part of the family, part of the rhythm of life. I stay in the kitchen and start preparing breakfast. Thin crepes, the kind every Ukrainian family grew up with. In winter mornings, crepes were often the first warm thing on the table, filling the house with quiet sounds and familiar smells. Crepes became so popular in Ukrainian homes because they were simple and reliable. No special tools, no rare ingredients, just hands that remembered the process. Almost every family had its own version, learned not from books, but from watching someone older cook. And of course, there's sausage and cheese on the table. Ukrainian breakfasts were rarely minimal. A full table meant care, family, and the understanding that no one should start the day hungry or alone. We eat our crepes with jam, homemade jam prepared back in summer when fruit was fresh and the kitchen smelled completely different. Opening a jar in winter always feels like bringing a small piece of summer back to the table. Sometimes, the crepes are filled with cottage cheese. Warm, soft, and comforting. This filling was especially common in village homes because it was nourishing and familiar, something that gave strength without feeling heavy.
Можна сметанку. Так, брати чобітки.
After breakfast, the kitchen quiets, and it's time to face the winter yard. In Ukrainian villages, the snow isn't just a pretty cover, it's work. Every morning, paths, benches, rooftops, and trees must be cleared, because snow can weigh down branches, hide steps, and make even the simplest tasks slippery or dangerous. In Ukrainian villages, chores were shared naturally, often without speaking. Everyone knew what needed to be done. Someone chopped wood, another checked on animals, someone else prepared the next meal. It was a silent cooperation that strengthened bonds, teaching patience, attentiveness, and the satisfaction of contributing to something bigger than oneself. These daily responsibilities, repeated year after year, taught lessons beyond the task itself. They taught resilience, mindfulness, and respect for time. Even the quiet moments, wiping a table, stacking firewood, organizing jars of preserves, carried a story, a tradition, a connection to ancestors who lived and survived by the same rhythms. There was no hurry in village chores. They followed daylight, weather, and energy, not clocks or deadlines. Everything had its place, its time, its reason. Morning light guided the cleaning, midday guided meals and tending to animals. Evening light guided the fire and preparations for the night. Now my husband is heading to the well to fetch fresh water for cooking. In Ukrainian villages, a well isn't just a source of water. It's the heart of the home, a place that has served families for generations, often standing longer than the houses themselves. Interesting fact. In many villages, the first water drawn in the morning was considered special, almost ceremonial, a blessing for the family, a promise of nourishment and life for the day ahead. Right now, I'm busy cleaning mackerel. In Ukraine, this fish has been a staple for generations, especially in winter months, because it's affordable, hearty, and full of flavor. Families learn to preserve and prepare it in countless ways, making it a versatile part of everyday meals. In Ukrainian households, mackerel can be served smoked, baked, or pickled. Each method carries tradition. Smoked fish hanging in the kitchen evokes memories of autumn preparations, while pickled mackerel is a winter delicacy that keeps well for days. Now I'm adding some onion to the mackerel and wrapping it carefully in parchment. It's a small step, but in Ukrainian cooking, these little details matter. The aroma of onion, the way the fish is tucked in, all of it makes the dish comforting, flavorful, and ready for the next stage of cooking or storage. Well, now it's time to move to cooking a hearty meat pilaf. In Ukraine, pilaf isn't just food. It's celebration, history, and family, all on one plate. The aroma of rice, meat, and spices fills the kitchen. And somehow, it always reminds me of winter gatherings at my grandmother's house, where everyone sat around the table, hands warm from cooking, and hearts warm from being together. Pilaf has traveled across centuries and continents. Originally from Central Asia, it was called plav and prepared by nomadic peoples over open fires. The method spread along trade routes, reaching the Caucasus, Persia, and eventually Eastern Europe. Each region added its own touch, but the essence, rice cooked with meat and spices, remained the same. In royal courts, pilaf was a symbol of abundance and prestige. Kings and sultans demanded the richest cuts of meat, fragrant oils, saffron, and almonds, turning this simple dish into a feast fit for celebration. Even today, cooking pilaf with care feels like honoring that tradition, a bridge between simple village life and grand historical feasts. Ukrainian households adopted pilaf in their own way. While they didn't have saffron or almonds, they made up for it with local meats, onions, carrots, and fragrant sunflower oil. Winter gatherings, weddings, and festivals often featured pilaf because it could feed many people, warm their bellies, and fill the home with irresistible aromas. I remember my first attempt at pilaf in my grandmother's kitchen. She guided my hands as I chopped onions and carrots, explained how to layer the meat with rice, and shared stories about her childhood, when neighbors would bring their grain and meat to cook together in one giant cauldron. It wasn't just cooking, it was a lesson in community.
Зайчик хоче тікати.
Pilaf's history in other countries is equally fascinating. In Iran, it became polo, a ceremonial dish for Nowruz celebrations. In India, biryani evolved from similar techniques, layering spices, rice, and meat in luxurious combinations. Every version tells a story, showing how food travels, adapts, and carries culture with it.
Бабусин кролик.
If you love seeing how traditional dishes come alive in our home, make sure to subscribe. That way, we can keep sharing these recipes, stories, and Winter Village moments together. Now we're opening the slab of salo, and I can already tell this is going to be a truly delicious dish. In Ukraine, salo isn't just food, it's tradition, comfort, and a little bit of celebration, no matter how simple the meal might seem.
Ото смакота.
I start by scoring the potatoes carefully, making little pockets for the salo. Each cut is deliberate because this is how the flavors will merge as it cooks, allowing the fat to melt slowly into the soft, warm potato. Our pilaf is almost ready now, and I'm adding whole garlic cloves into the pot.
Все, накривайте.
I've wrapped the fish carefully in parchment, ready for the barbecue. Placing the salo inside, each potato feels almost ceremonial. Generations of Ukrainian families have done this before me, creating small, hearty parcels of flavor that are both simple and rich, perfect for winter evenings.
Що? Все добре вже? Вже можна класти?
Nearby, the potatoes stuffed with salo are arranged on a tray. Each one is a small, hearty parcel, promising comfort and flavor. Apples, too, are prepared. Simple, sweet, and aromatic. In Ukrainian homes, roasted apples often accompany winter meals, bringing a touch of natural sweetness to balance the richness of meat and fat.
Мені здається, що ти вже це вже став тут. Ми вже будемо їсти.
The smell of roasting fish and potatoes mingling with the crisp winter air is irresistible. In my childhood, these aromas meant family meals were near, stories would be shared, and laughter would echo across the yard, blending with the occasional bark of a dog or cluck of chickens.
Васильович,
I'm carefully plating the pilaf now, letting the fluffy rice and tender meat rest neatly on the plate. And just beside it on the table, the fish with vegetables is already waiting, steaming and fragrant, ready to be shared.
сідаємо, будемо їсти.
Well, everything is finally ready, and we are about to sit down at the table. The whole yard is filled with aromas, smoky fish, roasted potatoes with melting salo, sweet apples, and the fragrant pilaf with garlic. It's that magical moment when cooking transforms into anticipation and the house feels alive with warmth and flavor. Sitting down together, I remember childhood evenings when my grandparents would gather the family after a long winter day, bringing food from the kitchen with care. The smells alone told stories of hands that prepared it, fires that kept it warm, and laughter that echoed through the rooms.
Кажуть мені, що схуднути. Та де я нас таку добру їду схуднути?
Ukrainian family meals are more than eating. They are pauses in the day to connect, share stories, and celebrate the simple joy of togetherness. Each dish on the table carries a memory, a tradition, and a little piece of our heritage. And now, I want to ask you, my friends, my viewers, what is the dish in your family that brings everyone together? What smells or tastes immediately remind you of home, winter, or family gatherings? We'd love to hear your stories in the comments. Now it's time to tend to the animals. In Ukrainian villages, caring for livestock is part of daily life and tradition. Horses, cows, pigs, chickens, and sometimes goats all have their place in the yard, each with their role, their routine, and their value to the family. Cleaning the stables is a ritual in itself. Old straw and manure are removed, fresh bedding is laid, and tools are cleaned. The smell of fresh straw, mixed with earth and animals, is part of village life, connecting people to the rhythm of seasons and labor. Feeding is more than giving food. Measuring grain, preparing hay, checking water, and sometimes mixing supplements ensures animals stay strong. Families pass down these practices, teaching children not only responsibility, but also respect for life and labor. In winter, the work is harder. Frozen water must be broken, snow shoveled to reach feed, and animals kept warm. Historically, families built insulated stables or layered extra straw, and survival often depended on how well the livestock was cared for during harsh months. Hay storage and preparation was a major winter chore. Cutting, drying, and stacking hay in lofts ensured that cows and goats had food when snow blanketed the fields. It was a task that could take entire days, linking families to the cycles of nature and agricultural tradition. Right now, my husband is milking the cow. In Ukrainian villages, this is more than a chore. It's a ritual passed down through generations. Milking requires patience, rhythm, and care. Historically, cows were central to village life, providing milk for daily use, cheese, and butter, and each family had its own method and little tricks to make the process smoother. Milking was often done twice a day, morning and evening, and it was considered important to do it at the same times. Villagers believed that consistent care kept the cow healthy and the milk abundant. In some regions, small charms or songs were whispered during milking to keep the cow calm and happy, blending work with tradition and belief.
Добре, я вже складаю цей сепаратор. Без дюрочки і з дюрочкою. Без дюрочки і з дюрочкою. Отак треба складати.
After milking, we strain the milk through a fine sieve. This simple step removes any impurities, small bits of hay or hair, ensuring the milk is clean and safe to drink.
Коровки подоїла клетками. Пийте, люди, молочко, ногам не пошкодить.
Meanwhile, I went to give some milk to our smaller animals and, at the same time, swept the stables. These small acts keep the home running smoothly, but they're also full of tradition, a nod to generations who kept their livestock healthy, homes clean, and winter life warm and organized.
Ну, ступи, переходи, отак. Молодець. Ой, молодці. Ой, молодці. Зараз вот вам постелю. І все. Рушику і струшив.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to join us in more winter village stories, cooking, and family traditions. Every meal, every chore, every smell tells a story, and I'd love to share them with you again soon. Morning in the village doesn't begin with an alarm clock. It begins with cold air, quiet smoke rising somewhere in the yard, and the understanding that the day will move at its own pace. Today is about smoking meat, cooking homemade cheese pancakes, and doing farm chores the way they've always been done, slowly, with hands, time, and care. If village life, slow food, In real everyday moments, feel close to your heart, make sure to subscribe. There's a lot more warmth, work, and simple living ahead. My husband helps me carry this heavy pot of salo outside, and moments like this remind me how food in village life is never a solo act. Even before the fire is lit, there's already cooperation, shared effort, and quiet understanding that some things are simply done together. Today we're smoking ham, a dish that carries far more meaning in Ukraine than its simple ingredients suggest. For centuries, ham wasn't about taste trends or fancy recipes. It was about preservation, nourishment, and making the most of what families had after the pig was slaughtered. Long before refrigerators existed, families learned that pork fat could be preserved better than meat, especially during harsh winters when food was limited and every calorie mattered. Smoking became a practical solution to both time and weather. The smoke slowly dried the ham, preserved it from spoilage, and infused it with a rich, deep flavor that transformed necessity into a dish people actually looked forward to enjoying, sharing at the table with family and neighbors. Ham was often prepared before major events, weddings, harvest celebrations, or long journeys, because it symbolized foresight, care, and the ability to provide for loved ones. Smoking ham was usually done slowly and deliberately, often by men, standing quietly near the fire, monitoring the process. Now I'm preparing breakfast, and today it's oladki. This is the kind of food that quietly fills the house with warmth before anyone even sits down. You don't need an occasion for oladki. They were made because people were hungry, tired, and needed something comforting before a long day. My husband is feeding the rabbits hay. In Ukrainian villages, rabbits were never just pets. They were practical, gentle animals that provided meat and fur, especially during winter months when resources were scarce. Interestingly, in many Ukrainian families, children were taught from an early age to care for rabbits, not just for the food, but to cultivate patience, respect for animals, and a sense of routine that shaped daily village life. Oladki have existed in Ukrainian cuisine for centuries, long before cookbooks or written recipes. They appeared naturally from simple rural logic. When you have flour, milk, and time, you make something that feeds everyone. They were often cooked early in the morning, before fieldwork or chores. They were filling enough to keep you going for hours. Unlike thin crepes, they were thick, tender, and meant to be eaten hot, almost immediately, straight from the pan. While they are often seen as simple village food, versions of oladki also appeared on noble and even royal tables, served with cream, berries, or honey. In wealthier households, oladki were made with fine white flour and plenty of butter, while rural families kept them modest and practical. By now, my husband has already finished milking the cow. In Ukrainian villages, milking is a daily rhythm that structures life. For centuries, families relied on this routine not only for milk, but for butter, cheese, and other dairy staples.
Мирославчику, пішли снідати. Давай, пішли.
Finally, we sit down to eat. In Ukraine, breakfast has always been more than just a meal. It's a moment to gather the family, share warmth, and prepare for the day ahead. Even a simple spread of oladki with jam and a cup of tea carries generations of tradition, reminding everyone that food and family are inseparable.
Такі сонячні файні дні.
Oladki, golden and soft, are usually served warm, straight from the pan. In villages, families often made them with sour milk or kefir, which gives them their tender, airy texture. Paired with homemade jam, each bite tells the story of local berries harvested in summer and preserved for winter mornings.
Якась файна погода. Сашко нічого слова не казав, правда? Ти хочеш собі меду? І мочати? Може, треба буде трошки вилити?
Tea is never just tea. For Ukrainians, pouring a cup is part of hospitality and routine. It's comforting, slow, and fragrant, often brewed with herbs or strong black leaves, meant to be sipped while everyone enjoys oladki and the morning light spilling into the kitchen. Ukrainian breakfasts have always blended practicality with ritual. Even the simplest fare, bread, eggs, cheese, or these sweet fritters, carries layers of meaning. Nourishment for the body, warmth for the heart, and connection to the rhythms of home life that have persisted for centuries. I start laying the pieces of meat into jars carefully, making sure each slice fits just right. In village households, this is more than preservation. It's a ritual, a way to honor the work of our hands and the animals that provide for us, respecting every part of the process. Once the jars are filled, I transfer everything into a large bowl, ready to be placed over the fire. Cooking like this connects me to generations of Ukrainians who prepared food outdoors, letting smoke, flame, and patience transform simple ingredients into something nourishing and memorable. If you love following the rhythm of village life, learning the stories behind every dish, and sharing moments that connect generations, make sure to subscribe. Now we're moving on to preparing sausages. The first step is cleaning the casings, a task that may seem tedious, but has been part of Ukrainian kitchens for centuries. Handling them carefully ensures the final product is tender, flavorful, and safe, a skill passed down from mothers to daughters, fathers to sons. Sausages in Ukraine have a long history, rooted in the need to preserve meat for winter. Before refrigeration, turning meat into sausages allowed families to store protein safely, using salt, spices, and natural casings, making food last weeks or even months. In many regions, sausages were made during harvest season or after the pig was slaughtered, a ritual that brought the whole family together. Men would handle the butchering, while women would season, stuff, and tie the sausages, creating a shared rhythm of labor and celebration. Ukrainian peasants weren't alone in valuing sausages. Even royal tables in Europe featured them. Kings and queens enjoyed similar preserved meats, sometimes with delicate spices, showing that the art of encasing meat in intestines transcended social classes and countries. Sausages traveled across Europe, influencing recipes in Germany, Poland, and beyond. Yet each region adapted them to local tastes. In Ukraine, the focus was on bold, simple flavors, durability, and nutrition, turning them into a cornerstone of home cooking. Preparing sausages at home is a living link to history. As we rinse, season, and stuff each casing, we imagine the hands of countless ancestors performing the same steps, connecting us to a lineage that values care, skill, and the joy of sharing food. Making sausages isn't just about eating, it's about timing, precision, and understanding the ingredients. A pinch too much salt or a careless knot can change the outcome, so it demands attention and patience, much like life itself in the village. Now we're hanging the sausages alongside other smoked meats. And this part is as much about patience as it is about technique. In Ukrainian villages, the way sausages are arranged, with space for air, away from direct flame, and at just the right height, ensures they smoke evenly and develop that rich, lasting flavor that makes every bite worth the effort. A helpful tip from generations of home cooks is to rotate the sausages occasionally and check their color and firmness, because even slight differences in heat or smoke can change the texture. These small gestures, learned by observation rather than written instruction, make the difference between good and unforgettable sausages. Look at these breathtaking Carpathian mountains. Every peak and valley tells a story. of families who have lived here for centuries, of shepherds guiding their flocks, and of villages tucked into hillsides where life moves at the rhythm of nature rather than the clock. The Carpathians aren't just beautiful, they were a refuge in history. During wars and invasions, people retreated to these mountains, using hidden trails and dense forests to protect their homes and traditions. Every trail has a memory, every stone a witness to resilience. Shepherds in the Carpathians would move their herds seasonally, carrying with them knowledge of herbs, pastures, and weather patterns passed down through generations. Watching the landscape now, you can almost imagine the slow movement of life, dictated by the land itself. Families here lived closely with the forest, rivers, and mountains, using what the land offered: berries, mushrooms, wood, and streams full of fish. Cooking, building, and even celebration were shaped by what could be gathered or grown in harmony with nature. In the winter, snow transforms the mountains, and the same slopes that are now lush green were once trails for sleds carrying firewood and supplies. Generations learned to read the weather in the clouds and the patterns of snow, ensuring survival and safety. Now we're heading over to check on our meat, and the smell hits immediately. Smoky, rich, and deeply comforting. The ham and salo are ready to be taken off the smoke, their surfaces perfectly firm yet tender inside.
Вау, це вже файно. Це вже треба забирати, а кубаса ще не буде. Воно підіймай. Все, це вже треба забирати.
While some meat comes off the smoke, we can't resist a little tasting. A slice of ham, a piece of salo, just enough to savor the flavors, to celebrate the process, to share a smile with family as we talk about the day's work and the little victories of cooking outdoors. The sausages are still on the racks, slowly cooking in the lingering smoke. Watching them, I remember how, in Ukrainian villages, families would plan entire days around smoking meat, adjusting heat, checking temperatures, and enjoying the aromas that filled the air, a mixture of patience, anticipation, and pride. Now it's time to start preserving meat for the winter, a tradition that has been at the heart of Ukrainian village life for centuries. Long before refrigerators, families relied on careful preparation, salting, and storing to ensure they had enough protein to last through the cold months when fresh food was scarce. Preserving meat isn't just practical, it's a ritual. Each jar, each piece wrapped, represents foresight and care. Mothers and grandmothers taught their children the rhythm of this work: how to layer, how to pack tightly without crushing, how to season so that flavor and nutrition are preserved for months. In the past, families would gather after the pig was slaughtered or after harvest, working together for hours or even days. Men handled the heavy lifting and cutting, while women and children seasoned, packed, and tied the meat. These moments were laborious, but filled with laughter, stories, and shared wisdom.
Все, можеш закладати. Накриваю.
Jars of meat on the shelf weren't just food. They were security, a guarantee that even the harshest winter wouldn't catch the family unprepared. It was a way of controlling the uncertainty of nature, turning patience and skill into survival. Preserving meat on this scale turns cooking into storytelling. Each jar carries history, skill, and family memory. As we work together, laughter, advice, and small anecdotes pass between us, creating a living connection between the past and present, reminding us why these traditions endure. Now we're going over to check on the sausages, and the smell is incredible, smoky, rich, and inviting. Telling if a sausage is ready takes practice. It should feel firm to the touch, but still slightly springy inside. A perfect balance between cooked and juicy. Once the sausages are perfect, we take them off the smoke carefully. The moment of tasting is a small celebration. The effort, the patience, and the smell all culminate in that first bite, reminding us why these traditions have lasted for centuries. In Ukrainian villages, families learn to recognize readiness not with a thermometer, but with experience, a gentle press, a visual cue, the way it hangs from the rack. It's a skill passed down through generations, part of the intimate knowledge that comes from hands-on cooking. Finally, I'm slicing all the meat, ham, salo, and sausages, and lay them out on the table. There's a special feeling when the preparation is done and everything comes together. The colors, the aromas, the anticipation of tasting what we've spent hours preparing. My husband is in the cellar, pouring us fresh juice. There's something about homemade juice from our own garden that turns a simple meal into a celebration. Sweet, tangy, and full of the life of the sun-soaked fruits we picked months ago. Sitting down together, we dive into the meal, the best way to enjoy it. A little ketchup and fresh white bread, letting the flavors of the smoky, tender meat mingle with simple, comforting bites. These moments turn food into joy, and every taste becomes a memory shared around the table. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through village life, the smells, the flavors, and all the little stories behind each dish, make sure to subscribe. There's so much more coming, and we'd love to share every moment with you.